Alright, so this is a new style of video that I'm trying where I go over a quick topic and then I spend the remainder of the video answering your guys' questions that you left for me either in the community tab of my channel or in my comment sections below my videos. So today's main topic, as you can guess, is choosing the right rubbers. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen beginner to intermediate players go out and buy these really expensive, like $80 to $100 rubbers, specifically rubbers like this one, and now this one as well. They go out, they buy these expensive rubbers, they put them on their paddles, they think it's going to be this super great rubber, and then they put the rubber on, they start playing, and they're surprised when they don't feel immediately better with the rubber. They don't see any immediate improvement. If anything, they put these really high-end rubbers on, and then it actually makes their game feel worse. And there's actually a very specific reason for that I'm going to cover pretty in-depth in this video, and then I'll actually go over what some better rubber options are. But believe it or not, rubbers are not going to play for you. They're not magic, and you have to be a pretty good player to handle the rubbers that all the pros are saying is good. And what you have to understand is pros say rubbers are good for a very different reason than what like a beginner or an intermediate is looking for in a rubber. They're looking for different things. So what's good for a professional player like Timo Boll or Malong or any of those like superstars is not the same as what's going to be good for you. Alright, let's take this beautiful brand new sheet of Tenergy 05 Hard that I'm definitely holding in my hands right now. Timo Boll seems to like this rubber on his forehand, so it's got to be a good rubber for everybody's forehand, right? Wrong. These new higher end rubbers like Tenergy, Dignix, Riser, Omega 7, DNA, National Team Hurricane, the new 50 Degrees, Evolution, MXP, all these higher end rubbers generally have a very hard, very springy sponge under the top sheet, and it's actually that new technology that's been driving up the price of rubbers. It costs a lot more money to manufacture these sponges that are springier and harder, and now we're seeing 50, 55, 60 degree sponges, and that's what's been driving up the price. It doesn't necessarily mean that because it's more expensive it's better for you. It just means that it's more expensive to make. So don't be fooled by the price of these rubbers thinking, oh, they're really expensive so it must be better. It's better for really good players, but for most people it's actually going to be worse. And now I'm going to explain why a harder, really springy rubber isn't what you want, especially if you're a beginner or even an intermediate player. Alright, let's take the example of Timo Boll and Tenergy 05 Hard again. Why does Timo Boll like this rubber? Well, what you've got to understand is Timo Boll is a world-class player. And what that means is he's also got world-class touch or world-class feeling. And what that means is he's got the ability to use his hand to manipulate the ball to get to pretty much anything he wants. So you play a ball anywhere on the table, and he's got the ability to get it to bounce 10 times on your side, really low over the net. He's just got that good of ball control when he's making contact. He's got good wrists, soft hands, so he can pretty much manipulate the ball to do whatever he wants it to do regardless of the equipment he's using. So of course he's going to love a rubber like Tenergy or Dignix because it gives him that extra power that can give him a slight competitive advantage away from the table where he needs it, and he doesn't care about the hard springy sponge maybe giving him slightly worse touch because he's good enough to counteract that. He's good enough to have good touch on his own regardless of the springy sponge. So all he cares about is that extra power away from the table, that extra springiness that feels really good to loop with. But if you take your average player or your beginner player and you give them a sheet of Tenergy 05, Dignix, Riser, DNA, any of these springy hard rubbers, all they're going to find is that they end up popping the ball up more. So the touches that were once short and low to the net, now they're going to be a little bit looser. You're going to get the ball looped past you more, and everything will just feel slightly more sloppy. So it just makes the overall experience of playing a little bit harder because the ball is off your rubber pretty much as soon as you hit it. It has very little dwell time, which makes it difficult to play with. So for your high level or pro players, every single small advantage you can get can make a very, very big difference in terms of even like the outcome of an entire match. They need that slight extra bit of power, that slight additional spin generation when they're looping. Um, just these small margins can literally be the difference between winning and losing. But for your average Joe, you put this higher end rubber on your paddle, and there's a good chance you might not even notice the difference between it. And even if it does feel slightly better when you're looping or when you're away from the table, it's not going to be worth the offset or the trade-off of now losing all your touch close to the table, and pretty much losing whatever short game control you might have had. And that does beg the question of, at what point is it okay, can you get away with switching to these higher end rubbers and you're going to be able to control it? And at what point do you still need to be not really using these rubbers yet? So where's the line? And I'm going to go ahead and talk about that now. All right, most of my viewers here do live in America, at least according to my YouTube statistics. So I'm going to answer this in terms of rating, but then I'll also answer it in terms of kind of generalized skill level for those of you that don't live in America. If you're about 1800, around that level or higher, with good coached technique, and for those of you who don't live in America, 1800 is about the level where players start to master the third ball attack in matches. So if you're about that level, then maybe you'd be okay with one of these higher end hard springy rubbers. If you're not at 1800 yet, so you're not really at the level where you can, in a match, serve underspin, and if they push long to your forehand, you know how to loop the crap out of the ball and play aggressively. If you're not at that point yet, you're going to be much better off saving your money and getting something a little bit tamer. You can still get really, really good rubbers, and actually some more tame rubbers are still quite expensive, but you don't need to get something as extreme as what the pros are using. Alright, if you want me to give you a personal recommendation on what rubber you think you should be playing with, drop me a question in the comment section down below and tell me what you think your level is, or if you live in America, tell me what your approximate rating is, tell me what your play style is, and I can get back to you with a personal recommendation of what I think which rubbers would best be suited for your game. I always say, when in doubt, go with the Axiom Vega series of rubbers. For my own personal experience, the Vega line of rubbers from Axiom are the best balance between price and performance. Also, any not the latest generation, but the generation before the latest of tensor rubbers. So like Omega 5, the generation before Omega 7, a little bit cheaper, a little bit tamer, and probably a little bit better for your beginner to intermediate players. Or like Rhythm from Yola, which was the generation before Riser, same thing. Or then rubbers like Rosanna from Butterfly, which are again just like a little bit tamer than rubbers like Tenergy or Dignix, a little bit more controllable. And you're gonna have a much better time playing with a $30 sheet of Vega Pro, or a $40 sheet of Rosanna, or a $50 sheet of Omega 5 than you are going to have playing with your $109 sheet of Dignix 05. So that's just my 2 cents on it. This has been my first learning lesson, and that's all I've got for the main lesson today. Now we're going to move on to some of the questions that you guys had. Okay, moving on to the questions from you guys. I've got 3 questions today, and if you leave a comment below with a table tennis question, there's a good chance that it'll be featured in my next learning lesson. So let's get straight into the questions. Kiang Chong asks, what does feeling mean to you? To me, feeling is the connection between the blade, your hand, and the ball. So when we say a player has good feeling, what that means is they're able to use the feedback they're getting through their hand when hitting the ball to make small adjustments to their shot, whether that be timing adjustments, contact adjustments, or even like tightening or loosening the grip, depending on what they want to do with the ball. When you play a shot and it feels good to hit with, or excuse me, and it feels good to hit, that's literally your feeling giving you positive feedback from your shot. And if you play a shot and it feels bad, that's your feeling giving you negative feedback. So the more you practice shots that require good feeling, like blocking, touching, or even like serving, the better your feeling gets, just because you have more and more feedback from your hand. So you kind of learn what feels good, what feels bad, and how you should be hitting the ball. Of course, equipment also plays a role in this. With higher end paddles and rubbers, so like your springy rubbers, feeling gets a lot more difficult, because as the rubbers and paddles get fast, there's much less dwell time. So the ball comes off your paddle right as you make contact with it. There's no time for there to be feedback through your hands, so you can't really feel what's going on. With a softer paddle, softer, slower rubbers, the ball hits your paddle and it sits there for a little bit, and you can literally feel the ball on your paddle. It's sitting there for a second, you can do what you want with it, then it's off your paddle. And so learning with slightly slower equipment often teaches you feeling, and then you can switch to faster equipment. So that's what feeling means to me. I hope that answered your question. All right, Signatured asks, what's the best way to improve at each skill level, i.e. specific focus / drills? If you're talking about a complete beginner, then the first things they need to learn, of course, are the grip and rules. And then from there, the next things you would teach them are your basic forehand drive and basic backhand drive. And then after that, very basic side to side lateral footwork, shuffling from forehand to backhand. After that, you can teach them how to push, then pushing with footwork, and then you can just keep going from there. It really does depend on what each player specifically struggles with once you get to a higher level, but up to about 2000, so up to about the level where players are confidently able to loop against underspin on both sides. The four main things that you need to master to kind of play really solid are serve, serve return, pushing, and blocking. If you can master those four things, then everything else comes a lot more easy. Comes a lot easier. And when I say master, I mean like being able to not just play those shots, but play high quality pushes, high quality blocks, really, really good serves, and high quality serve returns. And then once you pass 2000, again, it gets pretty specific depending on the style of the player and what specifically they need to work on. But if I'm generalizing, then more advanced footwork, counter attacks, short game, so flipping, flip kills. It just gets faster and faster, I guess, as you get better. Andy Zhao asks, what the does medium pips do to the ball? So medium pips can seem confusing at first because it can play very erratically, but the most important thing is to take your time and watch. And that doesn't just apply to medium pips, that applies to anything that you've never seen before. Anything awkward, you have to let the ball bounce, let it come out to you, and just watch and see what's on the ball. So you want to stay close to the table, but while being close, give the ball space to breathe so that you have time to play your shots. And then if it's topspin, you can just drive it. If it's underspin, you can push it or loop it. You don't have to overcomplicate just because the rubber seems complicated. Like you don't want to overthink it. There's only a certain number of spins that they can put on the ball. There's maybe like 4 or 5 different things they can do to the ball, and you probably know how to play against all of those spins. So you just have to be able to see it in time and then play the right shot against it. Alright, that's all the time I've got for today. So if you want to see more of this type of stuff, make sure to leave a like on the video, and please leave questions in the comments below so that I have some more content to make. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of this series. I know it's a little bit different from my normal videos, but I had fun making it. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching, and before I go, make sure to follow my socials. They are in the description below. I have Twitter, I have Instagram, so if you want to stalk me and kind of see more of triangle table tennis, which is where I play, and like training videos where I don't really talk, I just kind of show some clips and highlights, then definitely go ahead and follow my socials, because I do like to post on there a lot. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching again. That's all the time I've got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Adios.